Hello and welcome. Thank you. Well, what the fuck? We'll just restart that. Blip, 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 blip. Here we go. Hello and welcome to Three's a Crime, a true crime podcast. I'm Tori.
I'm Emily.
And I'm Lindsay.
And that's our intro.
Here we are professional podcasters.
We're podcasters, bitches.
Just before Easter, police receive an interesting phone call.
I thought you said police. My edible kicked in while I was watching you. I don't remember most of what you just said for the past couple minutes.
Look at her eyes. So, on April 23rd, 1973, police are shooketh to the core.
Once again,
when they get a phone call from their pal, Big Ed. Big Ed calls and he says, "Hey, you guys, I killed my mom."
Oh.
And they say, "No, you didn't."
You're
and hang
just
up the phone.
Joshing.
You're just kidding. You're so silly. And he says, "No, I hit her with a claw hammer." And they're like, "Oh,
Sure you did, Ed.
He then says he also killed his mom's bestie, Sally. And he's like, "If you go to her house, you'll find her in the closet." And then he says, "You will not find me there, though. I'm in Colorado." Because I ran. He ran to Pueblo, Colorado after killing his mother and her
Why'd you
best
tell
friend,
them where
Sally.
you are?
That's what I was just going to say.
Because he wanted to get caught.
Yeah, I know, but I'm like,
Yeah.
that just sort of
Yeah, I know.
defeats the purpose of running.
He's on the phone and he says, "I need police to come to Colorado and pick me up before I kill any more women." And remember, these guys know Ed. So again, they think it's a joke. They still are like, "You're so dumb." And according to the documentary, it was apparently like 2:00 in the morning. Which kind of makes a difference. So when I still don't think he responded correctly, but when he answered, it was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And he's like, "The lieutenant is sleeping. Call back in the morning."
Yeah.
Like, what is this bullshit? So they hung up on him, and when he calls back, he asks for his bestie, Jim Connor. Remember him? Who said, "You should join the police academy." Thinking he would take him more seriously. And once they realize that this is not, in fact, a motherfucking joke, they keep him on the phone so they can trace the call and send his location to Pueblo police so he can be taken into custody. So bestie Jim Connor calls Mickey Aluffi, who is the one who confiscated the gun, and said, "Hey, do you know some dude named Ed Kemper?" And Mickey Aluffi's like, "Yeah, I took a gun away from him like a motherfucking week ago." And so they're like, "Holy fucking shit. Well, he just called and said that he just killed his mom." So officers are sent to Clarnell's apartment, and sure enough, they find Clarnell and Sally exactly as he said they would. In the closet, under a sheet, the first thing they see is flesh, hair, and blood, the goddamn trifecta.
Ugh.
And they also find a folded piece of paper saying, quote, "Not sloppy and incompetent, gents, just a lack of time. Got things to do. Approximately 5:15 a.m. Saturday, no need for her to suffer anymore."
Just letting them know. Just letting
yeah.
his buds know.
I just want you guys to know, like, I'm usually
try.
cleaner
I'm
than
usually
this.
way better about this.
I usually clean up after myself.
But, you know, it was just, I ran out of time, and you guys know how it goes.
Buy some milk.
I don't. If you pause long enough to hear the end of Lindsay's sentence, it's always like something that is like completely out of context.
I was like, what are they doing in the 70s? They're drinking milk. They're not returning videotapes yet.
Oh my god. You're so funny. As they're looking in the closet, they start pulling out shoe boxes. And when they open up the shoe boxes, full of fucking body parts. Arms, hands, feet, legs. They also find a bunch of bloody clothing, ID, and other items that made him realize that he was the fucking co-ed killer, my dudes.
Oh.
They're like, they literally are like unpacking his closet and they're like,
Oh
my God. Like he's
yeah.
he's the one doing this.
Fuck.
One of them even picked up a towel, and when he picked it up, a face was looking back at him, and it was fucking Clarnell's motherfucking head.
Oh!
He's like, whoa, and then went, fuck this, and everyone was out of the fucking house. They were like, get the fuck out.
I would run away.
Once they get Ed into custody back in California, he just keeps talking. He's just talking. He's just telling them every detail. And now they're like, oh my God, he's also the co-ed killer. Like, what the fuck is going on? He said that he planned his mother's death for a week. He said that he walked over to her bedroom and looked in, and she was just finishing a book and turning the lights out when she saw him peek in. He walked into her room and she said, I guess you'll want to talk all night till morning now? To which he responded, no, not really. We'll talk tomorrow. He went back into his room and waited while smoking cigarettes for another hour. When she was asleep, he went back into her room and stared at her for 2 to 3 minutes, which is such a long time.
So
Yeah.
creeps.
He said he could feel himself getting nervous and agitated because his childhood dream was about to come true.
Mm-hmm.
He had a sharpened knife in one hand and a claw hammer in the other. He put the hammer down and cut her throat with the knife and completely decapitated her.
Holy shit.
In one go?
Apparently, he explains it in the documentary. I will link it below, but you need to watch it because hearing him he says all of this in his own words, and it's horrifying. He said he cut it first, and then I think he just full on.
You have to soften it.
He goes on to tell them that after he decapitated her, he cut out her tongue and vocal cords and put them into the garbage disposal.
Oh.
He cut her head off. I already said that. Used it as a dartboard. And then he tells them that he had sex with his mother's severed head before hiding her corpse in the closet.
Did anything come out?
I assume not. He went and got a little turnt at his favorite bar. Went and got some beer and got a little turnt. And then came back home and thought, I should invite my mom's best friend over. So he calls his mom's best friend and is like, hey, Sally, do you want to come over for dinner? And she's like, yeah, dude, I totally want to come over for dinner. And when Hallett arrives...
I love that you two make up your own narration.
Sorry.
Yeah, my dude. I definitely do.
Dude. Totally. Sally was like, totally.
We totally want to come over for dinner.
When Hallett arrived, Kemper picked her up off the ground, and she was dead 5 minutes after she walked to the door. He said he literally just picked her up till she died.
Oh my.
Because he's fucking 7 feet tall. He was trying to create a cover story that his mother and Hallett had gone away together on a vacation because it was right before Easter. And he said, he thought that if people knew that, Sally was going over there, but nobody heard from them in a few days, they'd be like, oh, they must have just gone on, a trip somewhere.
That's totally what people think.
Yeah, totally.
Well, because this is, back,
women.
Yeah, well, and it's, think about, the Goodhart murders and stuff.
Yeah.
If, you couldn't make long-distance calls. They were, you could, but they were expensive. And so if people weren't around, they just assumed you had gone on vacation.
So after he killed Sally Hallett, he also put her corpse in another closet, and he cleaned up any outward signs of a disturbance. And the next morning, he left around 10 a.m. to go east. He drove 28 hours straight, and he was taking no-dos.
Oh, hell yeah. Fuck yeah.
Literally thought they're going to know what those are.
Yeah, and I don't think you can get, no-dose or Vibrant anymore. They were
caffeine pills.
They would have ephedrine in them, which is, the stuff that they use to make meth and whatnot. It's one of the
I can't get them anymore. I just loved them because they make you real stoked.
Yeah, it was essentially
it's
speed.
Legal,
it was legal speed.
Yeah.
So he said that he took 4 to 5 at a time.
He is 7 foot.
He is 7
well,
feet
that
tall.
Is true.
But still, fuck, dude.
So he drove 28 hours straight to Pueblo, Colorado, and He said if police would have pulled him over, he had a 12-gauge shotgun and a 30 caliber carbine and 200 pounds of ammo and was well enough equipped.
But what's hysterical about it is that he had this, and it's like, well, if you hadn't walked along the side of my car, I would have shot you. Or if you had pulled me over, I had all this with me. But then you called, fucknut. You called and turned yourself in. See, I don't know. I feel like he wanted recognition for what he had done. And I think he was expecting the police to, like, catch him, and then he could have, like, a big shootout or something. And then when nobody caught on.
So he's like, you guys, I need you to come get me from Slumber Party.
When nobody, like, realized.
When nobody. Yeah.
That's a good way. I hadn't even thought about it like that. That's true. So
I think he also made up saying, "Oh, I would have shot you."
I would have shot you.
He's just probably saying that to.
Ed is not only willing to talk to them about the murder of his mother, but he's also eager to tell them of all the details of the co-ed crimes. And he gets into it. Oof. Cool as a motherfucking cucumber. Ed tells police that he had been planning these... Oh, wait. Yep. Ed tells police that he had been planning these murders for years, basically since he was released from the Atascadero State Hospital. After he bought that Ford Galaxy, he noticed a large number of women hitchhiking and began storing plastic bags, knives, blankets, and handcuffs in his car, which I learned driving on the way here, that allegedly, because he was best friends with so many cops, they gave him a pair of handcuffs and a fake badge. Like an honorary badge.
Fucking 12-year-old.
Yeah, like he's a 12-year-old doing his Make-A-Wish present.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And there's no like proof that he used it to lure anyone, but like cops don't give random people handcuffs and honorary badges, please. According to Kemper, he picked up around 200 female hitchhikers between 1970 and 1972 before he felt any homicidal sexual urges, which he called his little zapples, and began acting on them. He was studying his prey like a goddamn panther. In some cases, he felt too many people watched the women get into his car, so he chose not to kill them and would just take them where he wanted to go. And he said he never committed himself unless he was absolutely positive. He started his killing with Marianne and Anita and tells the police that he took them back to his mother's place. Well, actually, this is also part of it that I heard on the way here, so let me see what I can remember. So Marianne Pesci had been hitchhiking. She had hitchhiked around America and around Europe. And so she was like
she knew her
stranger.
Shit.
Yeah, and I guess he kind of got the vibe that like she knew that he wasn't cool. And so he pulls up and she's like, "Oh," but her friend Anita is just like ready to go, hops right in. And he used to do this thing where if they were seeming a little unsure, he'd look at his watch and be like, "Well, I need you to like decide." Like he need to be somewhere. Yeah, he was trying to make it seem like he wasn't too eager to get them into his car. And so looking at his watch was like, she was like, "Okay, I'll just, get in the car." He has them in the car, takes them to a remote area, and one of them is in the back seat, and Anita, I believe, is in the front seat. And he would also do a thing where his car was a coupe. I don't know how the fuck he fit in there, but the people in the back couldn't get out without the door
right, because
when they got into the car, he would like take a chapstick and he'd say, "Oh, your door isn't shut." And he would reach over the passenger side and like open it and close it. And then he would drop a chapstick in there so that you literally couldn't jimmy it from the inside. That fucking weirdo. So that's insane. So after that happens,
it's too gross smart.
Yeah, he forced one of them into the trunk, and then the other one he tried to rape, but he couldn't perform because he's a little bitch boy.
He's got a tiny dick.
So then he
doesn't know how to use it.
So he killed Anita and goes to the one in the back and says, "Oh, I like hurt your friend. You need to come out and help her." Also kills her. Puts him in his trunk. Takes him to his apartment. He dismembered their bodies and engaged in necrophilia with the corpses before disposing of pieces of them in the Santa Cruz Mountains. Also learned that he would sleep with them. He would sleep with the heads.
That's what Dahmer did.
Jesus and every time he wanted to have sex, he would just use one of the heads. And I think, according to the book, it was, you're still having sex with a person, but if he can't perform, it's not as, I'm doing major air quotes here.
Yes.
He's not as embarrassed by it.
Well, yeah, because there's no judgment.
There's no judgment. And he did it until they were too decomposed to continue.
Oh, fuck, dude.
I wonder if like real dolls had been a thing then.
if that would have like helped.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the earliest sex doll is credited to Dutch sailors in the 17th century who used a doll made of cloth to relieve sexual tension during long sea voyages.
Ew, do you think that thing was just like full of jizz?
Yes.
God.
Like a giant sock.
Yeah.
Like a giant sock.
Like, how crunchy was that doll?
Oh! So crunch. So crunch. To this day, Anita's body has never been found.
Would he not say where it was, or it was just probably gone by that point?
I think it was just gone. He had disposed of them in the Santa Cruz Mountains, and they found bits and pieces of Marianne, but they couldn't find her.
Yeah.
Between May of 72 and April of 73, he tells police he killed 8 women. He tells them that the parking pass that his mom gave him the opportunity to make hitchhikers trust him. And it also made them feel safe, thinking he was also a student at UC Santa Cruz, so they were more likely to get into his car. Ed also gives detailed accounts of how he killed Aiko, Cindy, Rosalind, and Alice, and even tells investigators where they can find parts of their body. He took them to the place he buried Aiko's arm. I've got a little sound bite for you.
Whoa.
That's depressed me an awful lot.
To talk about this?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, what was next then?
Third victim. It's quite a trip down the face. I think, wow, of course. What she would think. She knew that 8 or 10 hours later, she'd lay in somebody's trunk dead. The next day, in somebody's pieces.
When Edmund spoke about Aiko, he said, quote, "It was quite a trip down the coast, and I think, wow, I wonder what she would think if she knew that 8 or 10 hours later she'd be lying in somebody's trunk, dead, and the next day in so many pieces." It seems like Aiko was the one that he really didn't want to kill. He said that he talked to her for 2.5 hours before killing her. They were just driving in the car. He acted like he was going to kill himself, and she was like, they were talking about like why he wanted to kill himself. And then apparently he like turned to her and was like, "So you've been abducted." According to Ed, she was very cooperative and he never asked her to do anything sexual. And he said he didn't lay a hand on her until he put tape over her mouth. He took her back to his apartment, choked her, raped her, and then finished killing her. So choked her unconscious, raped her, and then finished killing her. He also said he took pictures of her after she was dead. He said, quote, "I posed her in nice empty poses, took a couple pictures. I got tired of her real quick." He apparently wanted to kill Aiko so that he could take photos of her and look at them whenever he felt compelled to kill again. He said that is the only... I mean, he also didn't want to get caught. But he didn't want to kill her, but he had already committed and knew he couldn't back out. And
it doesn't make you a better person if you said you didn't want to kill him, but you still did, bro. That just fucking defeats the purpose.
And then although parts of Cindy's body washed up on a beach, police didn't find her head until Ed took them to where he buried it. Anybody want to guess where he buried it?
Under his pillow.
In his yard.
Oh.
He told Mickey Alufi that he removed the face from the skull and buried the skull, then laid the face on top. And when he asked why he did that, he said he wanted to know that she was always looking up at him.
Ew. Don't like that. Gets real Leatherface with it.
And there were guards at the USC campus, but like if you had a parking sticker, I didn't even...
I mean...
there was... So nobody had any idea that it was him.
Serial killers were still barely a thing.
Yeah. Monty Lundy, who's the son of Dr. Donald T. Lundy, is in the documentary on Discovery Plus. And Donald Lundy was a longtime psychiatrist who became widely known for his frank and eloquent testimony on all manner of grisly crime and human behavior. And he's one of the people who interviewed Edmund. He even reached out to one of Ed's sisters to ask her for an interview, and she accepted.
Wow.
According to his sister, she said their mom noticed Ed was different from the time he was 2 years old. And in one of Ed Kemper's interviews with Donald Lundy, he was given sodium amytal, which is like a truth serum, so he could try and get more into Kemper's subconscious. He almost, and if you hear it in the documentary, it's sad. He almost sounds like he's crying because he's
not
on truth serum or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah. And so he said he shows like a lot of remorse and a lot of regret, and like, she was really nice. I really didn't want to do it, but like, I thought that she was going to tell. So I knew that I had to, and like, I was already in too deep, but she was really nice.
Yeah, I'm not buying it.
This is when Big Ed also told him that he cuts off chunks of women's thighs and puts it into his macaroni casserole.
Oh.
Alrighty.
He said keeping pieces
Oh.
frozen and eating them was erotic enough, and he felt like he wouldn't need to kill anyone else if he could just keep eating pieces.
That is
of their...
sacrilege to mac and
Yeah,
cheese.
yeah, it is.
That's upsetting.
Do not mess with Lindsay's
Do not
mac and
mess with
cheese.
him.
No, I can't really have it now, and that makes me sad. So you better enjoy it right now. If you're fucking eating it, god damn it.
After
Yes.
interviewing Kemper, Donald Lundy was asked to give a report to the defense saying whether Kemper was sane or not, because the defense was trying to prove that he was insane and had no idea what he was doing.
Insane in the membrane.
Insane in the brain. Donald Lundy struggled with this because by all legal standards, Kemper was doing things that a rational person would do. He was
Yeah.
covering up his crimes. He was keeping an eye on police. He understood what he was doing. From a psychological perspective, he was insane. But from a legal perspective, it was not an option.
Yeah,
you
he knew
couldn't-
right from wrong.
He knew right from wrong.
Yeah.
He was crazy in the sense of like, he was fucking crazy.
Is that the case?
Yeah, that is the case.
That's
Kemper-
the legal definition.
Kemper was found guilty of 8 homicides and was sentenced to 7 years to life running concurrently, which meant he's going to be there for the rest of his life. He's serving his sentence in the Correctional Medical Facility in Vacaville, California, and he is in a segregated wing with a few other inmates.
How
Great
old is
name.
Kemper now?
72. So Don Smarto is a prison evangelist who really believes that people can change.
Oh, God.
And he would go into prisons and preach to inmates and he would film their testimonies in having found Christ. He said that February... Tori's like, you fucking liars.
All I'm
Her face,
thinking
she's
of
just
is
like-
Ted Bundy.
Yeah,
That's
and
all
I'm
I
just
can
like-
think of.
Yeah,
They will
yeah.
say whatever. the
Whatever, man. Yeah, no. Like,
Ugh.
these aren't... No.
Okay, so the prison evangelist, he said in February 10th, 1993 was a day he will never forget. They were shooting at prisons in California, and the last prison was the California Medical Facility in Vacaville. They had already shot 2 inmates, and a 7-foot-tall, 350-pound inmate walks into the room. And this is the audio of what that fucking looked like. And when they interviewed him, they didn't know what he had done. They didn't know who he
Oh.
was.
This is the evangelist?
Yeah, the
Okay.
evangelist would go in and interview people.
Okay.
And Ed Kemper literally just walked in. He's like, you want to be interviewed? And he's like, sure.
Oh, he's probably like, yeah, let's go
Yeah,
fuck with these
bitch. So,
February 10th, 1993 is a date that I will probably never forget. I had already shot 2 inmates, and the 3rd inmate walked into the room. He's 7 feet, 350 pounds. So I was obviously startled by his size, but I have no idea who he is or what he's done. Thank you for talking with us today. How long have you been in prison?
17 years.
You came to Christ in an unlikely place. Where was that?
In the hole, doing time in the lockup. I could just squander my life away, waste it away to nothing, quietly die in a little corner, or start living my life. And it was over a period of months. It was very ugly. It's the worst place I've ever lived in my life, and it's the best place I've ever lived, because during that 3 years there, I came to grips with myself, with my feelings, with who I was. I became a human being for the first time in my life, instead of a caricature.
During the break, a guard comes over and whispers in my ear, "You know who you're talking to, don't you?" To which I said, "No, I have no idea." He said, "That's Ed Kemper. He's the co-ed killer."
isn't that crazy? So Don Smarto, the evangelist, and Edmund wrote letters to each other for 4 years. And he told Don that if he was ever paroled, he would want to be a missionary. And he wanted to visit inmates dying of AIDS and minister them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's bullshit. Fuck you.
Oh, I have one more
the
for
A-
you.
oh,
Oh, Lindsay,
fuck.
I've got so many for you.
That makes me so mad.
Ed Kemper has read cassette tapes.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry. Ed Kemper has read.
For audiobooks.
Ed Kemper has recorded audio for audiobooks more than any other prisoner. He has spent more than 5,000 hours in a booth with a microphone for the last 10 years and has more than 4 million feet of tape and several hundred books to his credit, including Flowers in the Attic and Star Wars.
Chapter 1.
Flowers in
Goodbye,
the Attic.
Daddy.
Is he giggling?
Truly, when I was very young, way back in the 50s, I believed all of life would be like one long and perfect summer day.
He's just...
After all,
He is 73 now. He has had a stroke and no longer speaks to anyone. This brings us to Mindhunter, which is an amazing show on Netflix that everyone should watch.
It gives
So-
gives Lindsay boners.
Liz Gizzy.
Wow.
Lives Gizzies.
I need to
Who
just be
lives
done.
Gizzies.
I'm at the last little section, so my fucking god. Mindhunter is a show on Netflix, and it revolves around FBI agents Holden Ford, who is loosely based on former FBI Special Agent John Douglas, our favorite
Yeah.
FBI Behavioral Analysis Unit guy, and Bill Tench, based on the Behavioral Science Unit's Robert Ressler, along with psychologist Wendy Carr, who operates the FBI's Behavioral Science Unit within the training division at the FBI Academy in Quantico, Virginia. And together in the show, they launch a research project to interview imprisoned serial killers to understand their psychology with the hopes of applying this knowledge to solve ongoing cases. And this is all what really happened. The names have been changed, and Bill Tench, have you guys seen all the seasons of Mindhunter?
Oh God, yes.
Okay,
Immediately.
so Bill Tench, his son witnesses a kid dying and that kind of thing. That is not something that happened with Robert Ressler. That was a total.
I had a feeling, I was like, this is too perfect because he's
yeah. I want to say Robert Ressler probably had a daughter or something. It was that whole storyline was completely
Fictional.
Fictional. The first season takes place from 1977 to 1980 in the early days of criminal psychology and criminal profiling at the FBI. Cameron Britton has a recurring role in this season as notorious serial killer Edmund Kemper, who is the first to assist Ford and Tench in understanding how a serial killer's mind works. While waiting for Charles Manson to agree to see them, the two main characters, Holden and Bill, went to see Kemper, who at the time was recording an audiobook. Other notable serial killers featured in the first season include Monty Rissell, played by Sam Strike, Jerry Brudos, played by Happy Anderson, Richard Speck, played by Jack Erdy, and Dennis Rader, also known as BTK, played by Sonny Valincenti. John Douglas joined the FBI in 1970 at the age of 25 to work on violent crimes, and he was a member of the SWAT team before becoming an instructor in hostage negotiations and applied criminal psychology.
I want everybody to go watch Mindhunter. David Fincher.
Dude, it is
amazing. They're all
incredible.
So good.
So this is a quick video that's a side-by-side comparison of the actor to the real Ed Kemper. And some of the audio, they overlap where it'll start with the real guy and then end up being the actor, and you can barely tell the difference.
Well, cops like me because they can talk to me more than they can talk to their own wives, some of them.
Did the cops like you? Like I said, a friendly nuisance. I got in the way.
I watch all the cop shows on TV.
Do you know, Joseph Wambaugh? Police Story? You ever watch that?
Huge fan.
Oh.
I got a lot of my insights right there.
Really?
Joseph Wambaugh, Police Story. Got some tremendous insights into not just the gimmicks, the actual things, the tidbits that you would pick up from their procedures, but the mechanics behind that, the logic behind it. Was I would not allow myself to walk into even a potential trap.
I would not allow myself to walk into a trap because I knew exactly how their minds work from watching Wambaugh.
What kind of trap are you talking about?
And one of those was talking about those crimes too much to people, initiating conversations about that.
The classic is talking too much about the crimes, over interest. You have to remain casual.
It would be a guess, but
I'd say right now,
far more than 35.
in North America, more than 35.
35?
Well, I'm not an expert.
Well, hold on, I'm not an expert.
No, not an authority. I'm someone who has been a murderer for almost 20 years.
I'm just an extremely accomplished murderer.
I was also involved in killing co-eds because my mother was associated with college work, college co-eds.
She had a very violently outspoken position on men.
And had a very strong and violently outspoken position on men.
Then comes this picture postcard, groovy, happy young couple on the stairs. They walk right past me.
Walking up to my apartment, past a happy young couple coming down the stairs, who nodded and smiled at me as they went by. Good evening.
Your two worlds are colliding.
My murderous fantasy life, and this. It's a pretty girl, pretty name. Kim or something. Going out on a date.
Where I'd love to be going. And I'm aware of both of these realities, and the distance between those two is so dramatic, so amazing, so violent. And this craving, this awful, raging, eating feeling inside. I could feel it consuming my insides.
I could feel it consuming my insides. This fantastic passion.
It was overwhelming me. I wasn't impotent, but emotionally I was impotent.
Physically, I wasn't impotent, but emotionally I was. I knew a week before she died I was gonna kill her.
I knew a week before she died I was gonna kill her.
She went out to a party, she got soused. She came home alone.
I was woken up by that. I came out.
You know, that night I walked up to her bed. She's laying there reading a paperback. As many thousands of nights before. She says, "Oh, I suppose you're gonna want to wait up all night and talk now." Can you believe that?
I looked at her. I said, no. I said, good night.
Look, is he crying?
This is fake. This is so fake. This is
And I knew I was going to kill her.
fake.
Yeah.
You know?
There's
I
no
knew I was
tears.
gonna kill her. You know. I was honest with myself for the first time.
And that's the first time in 10 years I've looked at it that way. I mean, that intensely, that honestly. It hurts. A 6 young woman dead because of the way she raises her son and the way her son is raised.
Yeah, don't
When
take
he
any
grows up.
responsibility.
And now everyone knows it was because of what she did to me, because of the way she treated her son.
I rationalized that to give up would be insane. To give up would be crazy. I'd be giving away my freedom, and I don't need to. But I look back on that and wish I had earlier, when I was saying those things to myself. The people who were later dead wouldn't be. The regret that came later would have not had to be. Those
You
people,
regret
not
that.
things, those people would still be with their families, with their loved ones.
I know it's silly, but Mom always liked people to look up to her.
God, he's such a good fucking actor.
I remember the first time I saw him, I thought he was Ed Kemper.
Truly.
And I remember I told Michael, I'm like, that's the real guy. It's not. It's not. You just think it is because he's
I was
amazing.
blown the fuck away when I first saw
I mean,
him.
casting for Mindhunter is like they
don't
did
fuck around.
because not only did they find people that look nearly identical to their nonfiction counterparts, they're also all really good actors.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And
Voices, like,
Incredible. We'll post
but-
the picture of that I sent you guys of the side by side.
but Kemper, like, I don't buy it. I don't buy,
No.
you know what I mean? And he's so good at manipulating people. And I mean, that's one of the things that psychopaths do is they study quote unquote normal people
yeah.
to see how they respond and then they'll mimic it,
Mm-hmm.
which is, I think, what he's doing. Are you all right? What just happened?
I hit my. I think I'm still high.
So much like on the show, John Douglas was teaching when he had the idea to interview real life criminals in hopes of better understanding their motives. That's how the entire show starts, is he's teaching it to students. And this led John Douglas to create the FBI's criminal profiling program. Mindhunter season 1, like I said, Ed Kemper, Jerry Brudos, Richard Speck, all these people, John Douglas also did interview in real life. During his first year on the project, John Douglas interviewed 59 serial killers. And by 95, he received more than 1,000 requests for criminal profiles. He also interviewed David Berkowitz, Ted Bundy and Charles Manson. And according to The Guardian, Douglas's interview with Bundy contributed to the arrest of the Green River Killer.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably going to do that in the next season if they do.
Yeah, I really hope so. Along with writing his book, Douglas has also continued to consult on cases, including the John Benet Ramsey case. And this is not about this, but I'm just going to play the little gem of the lady talking about lesbians.
Here's
There was
why.
a moment where they thought maybe it was lesbian, like a woman picking up these women and killing them. And the sentence this lady says is so boomer-tastic.
Oh
like,
God,
it's
guys.
outrageous.
Which is why it's been a running joke for us
yeah.
today.
Here you go.
And one of the sort of weird suspicions that arose was, well, if they don't get in cars with men, maybe they would get in car with a woman. And that could be some kind of lesbian thing.
Just sounds so
bad.
like, oh my God. An article written by FBI Special Agent Robert Ressler, who Bill Tench was based
Bill
on.
Tench is so good too.
Huh?
Bill Tench, he's just
Bill Tench, yeah. He wrote an article saying the 14 most common traits of serial killers, and these are some of the things that studying Ed Kemper taught us. So, number 1, over 90% of serial killers are male. He was obviously a man. Number 2, they tend to be intelligent with IQs in the very high range. Kemper was brilliant with an IQ of 145. And like I said, only 1% of the world's population has an IQ of 135 plus. So actually, he was even better than 1% of the population. Yeah. They typically do poorly in school. They have trouble holding down jobs and often work as unskilled laborers. Kemper dropped out his sophomore year and was denied into the police academy due to his height and sought after jobs that required little to no skill, such as being a flagman for a construction site. That's not to say that if you work in construction, you have no skill, but this guy's a son of a bitch and he can't do anything right.
Yes.
They tend to come from markedly unstable families, obviously.
Yeah.
His family had a history of mental illness, including alcoholism. As children, they're often abandoned by their fathers and raised by domineering mothers.
Scary moms.
Their families often have criminal psychiatric and alcoholic histories. Experts suggest that like I said, that his mother may have suffered from
Bird flu.
She got that bird flu.
Borderline personality disorder.
Oh my God, I forgot about bird flu.
I remember swine flu?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Remember the easy flus before the big one that
the good
ruined half the
times.
planet came? They
God.
typically hate their mothers and fathers, and they are commonly abused as children, psychologically, physically, and or sexually. Often the abuse is by a family member. Many serial killers spend time in institutions as children and have records of early psychiatric problems. They have high rates of suicide attempts, which Kemper did try to kill himself twice when he was in custody with a ballpoint pen. From an early age, many are intensely interested in voyeurism, fetishism, and sadomasochistic.
Yes.
What was that? Oh, the
What
cat?
are you doing?
Oh my God, I thought that was someone yelling outside. More than 60% of serial killers wet their beds beyond the age of 12. Many serial killers are fascinated with fire starting, and they are involved with sadistic activity or tormenting small creatures. So basically 99% of those Edmund Kemper has.
If they didn't have this interview, they wouldn't have Criminal Minds.
Exactly. And these are 2 things that I added literally in the middle of the night as I found them, so they really are not in the correct place. But Christian Bale in American Psycho is famous for the line, one side of me says, I'd like to talk to her, date her. The other side says, I wonder what her head would look like on a stick. In that movie, apparently Bale wrongfully attributes the line to Ed Gein, but apparently it belongs to Ed Kemper.
When you were talking about him, I had a flash of American Psycho when he calls the lawyer and admits everything, but the lawyer doesn't believe anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I thought about that. I saw your
my
pillow
God.
and I thought it was
goo.
That's what my mom downstairs just texted me.
Like that thing is fooling all of us.
It is.
Throw a picture of that up on
I was going to,
IG.
yeah.
So, here is the last piece of information that I don't know why I put it here. Lundy, who was the one interviewing him a lot, said, I laughed at the notion that he might attack me. He had no reason to do so, and besides, the panic button would bring a squad of deputies instantly. There was literally a button where he could press if something went wrong. Kemper then reminded Lundy, has it ever dawned on you that I'm a foot taller and weigh damn near twice what you do? When Lundy hit the panic button,
All
right.
Yeah, that panic bucking, you panic bucking.
When he hit the panic button, it took them 7 minutes to respond.
Oh.
Former FBI agent Robert Ressler had a similar interaction with Kemper. Bundled in the same interview room, Ressler hit the panic button, and the guards didn't respond. Noticing his panic, Kemper chillingly told him, quote, if I went apeshit in here, you'd be in a lot of trouble, wouldn't you? I could screw your head off and place it on the table to greet the guard. And the guards entered the room 30 minutes after that.
30 minutes?
30 minutes. So you know like the scene in Mindhunter where Holden is like super freaked the fuck out by him? Like that technically is an actual interaction that happened because they just fucking eat their sandwiches, take their sweet fucking time. Panic. You're not panicking.
They did that in an episode of Criminal Minds as well. Do you remember? Like, so it's the guy's gonna be executed, so he agrees, and it's just Reed and Hotch.
Oh, yeah.
And then Reed is like, I can tell you why you are the way you are, and just keeps them busy until
Keeps 'em
they
talking,
come.
yeah.
And then the guy's like, is that really why? And he's like, yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, that's a good episode.
Reed is the best.
Reed is the best. So that disgusting cowman was Ed Kemper. So I feel like I gotta ask you guys, do you feel like people can be rehabilitated or?
That's so hard.
He's had no trouble in prison whatsoever, and he's been in there now for like 50 years.
Oh, I don't think he's rehabilitated.
I don't
Just
think
hiding.
that. So I think if a crime's committed by choice, right? So let's say, I don't know, like you're part of a gang or you accidentally kill someone or, I don't know, you're white collar crime.
Mhm.
Like things like that. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But people with psychological disorders and mass murder, serial killers,
Yeah, I don't believe those.
and some of them, I feel like I don't even know. Even if they could, I don't know that they should be given a chance
Yeah.
to. Like if he's rehabilitated in prison, that's great. He can stay rehabilitated
In prison.
in prison.
Yeah.
It's kind of like with Coe.
Mm-hmm.
That one, like it makes me nervous that like he would, as we say, paid his debt to society, and that the state can just step in and lock somebody up for something that they might do. Like the idea of that is terrifying to me. But on the flip side, like Kevin Coe absolutely would try to offend again. Like, he's a dangerous motherfucker, and he should have gotten a much longer prison sentence, than he did in general. So, I don't know. I don't know if I think they can be rehabilitated.
I think it depends.
I think that, like, with serial killers in particular, I think early intervention would be crucial.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like,
And then you would
children.
never really know whether or not,
Yeah.
they were destined to become one. But because,
Concept.
like you said, you brought up nature versus nurture. And it's like, I look at people like Otis Toole and Henry Lee Lucas, where,
Yeah.
like, I have some empathy for them because I feel like they never had a chance. Like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
they were never going to be,
Or Richard Ramirez.
or Richard Ramirez. Like, these people that had
Yeah.
horrific childhoods. And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, okay, he had a
This guy just kinda
a
sounds like a
wussy
normal
dad
childhood.
and a domineering
mom.
mother. And I'm not saying that she wasn't horrible, but I'm like, a lot of people have horrible domineering mothers and they don't go out and murder
And
co-eds.
dissect them and want to
Yeah.
fuck dead
Like, and the
bodies.
thing is, like, he was doing some of this stuff before mom had
Yeah.
even locked him in the basement.
That's the, yeah. Like,
But at the same time, she didn't try to get him any help.
Mm-mm.
You know, it's not like she was like going to psychiatrists being like, my son has creeped me out so badly I keep him hidden in the basement. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
My son creeps me out so badly.
like him.
well, and it's like, you know, you see parents like this on Dr. Phil that are just like, our kid is fucked up and we don't know what to do with him, you know? And there are people that we know where like their kids have problems and the parents are doing everything they can to get their kid into some kind of a program.
And it's such a, the state, the whole thing is bullshit. Because it makes it worse.
It does make it worse.
So much
and
worse.
so it's like, yeah, I don't know.
It's like it's a perfect storm.
It is.
Because I really think he was mentally fucked.
Yeah, I think
he's probably sociopath.
Well, and if mom was borderline personality, like, not, and I am not saying that if your parent has borderline personality that you are going to be a serial killer or anything like that. I'm just thinking, you know, mom probably had an undiagnosed mental illness, and maybe that was that mental illness was passed down to him, and then
it's common. Even like mom has depression, I have depression, so
right,
it's a common thing. But
so I mean, he is a perfect storm, I think, of both. But I think with him, my gut feeling with Kemper, especially because the reason I think he can be so cool is and like, you know, steady is because he's just telling a story. Like there's no empathy, but there's also no, it's just something that he did. Like there's also like I think he knows, and when we say knows right from wrong, like they know that society thinks that it is wrong, but they personally, I don't know that or that they care.
Oh my God. Well, that was terrible.
Yay! Go watch Mindhunter. It's real good. And then BTK is kind of in the background of it.
He's in the cold opens of, is it still called a cold open in Mindhunter? And he's in the opening of season 2, like all the opening scenes, and they're just I
thought season 2 was when they went for the Georgia child killer or whatever.
They do. Maybe it's season 1 that they do it.
I think he's in both, but it's only like,
little tiny random stints. It's him like
that's
walking
right.
through his house or something.
Yeah, it's not.
And it takes you like 5 episodes to realize
him
it's
going through the house.
BTK.
That's right.
Until he strangles himself while he's jerking.
I knew because his stupid fucking.
You can see it in his face. He looks exactly like Dennis Rader.
And I was like, oh god damn it, we're doing BTK. Fuck.
Yeah. So that show is great. We have a lot of things to link, so we will link them. But like, I would highly suggest the documentary is called The Coed Killer: Mind of a Monster on Discovery Plus. It's 3 episodes long, and it's the most recent Edmund Kemper documentary. It came out this year, and it's the only one that has Donald Lundy's audio tapes with him.
It's so weird because like I had no idea that he was the same guy from the Umbrella Academy until you said that.
Who?
The guy that plays.
Oh! I know. I didn't know that either.
The guy that, because he looks. I mean, and
With
once
Mary
you
J.
said
Blige,
it, I was like, and once you said it, I was like, oh, the voice.
You can hear it a little.
Yeah,
bit,
you hear it totally.
Yeah.
But I would not have made that connection.
Well, he does amazing in all parts of his. Everything.
He's great.
Remember who you are and what you represent.
Don't represent a killer.
Don't cut off
killer.
heads. Don't cut off heads.
And if you're gonna have sex with a head, make sure it's like a doll. They make them now.
In the 1700s.
Well, I mean, actually, technically, you can have sex with a head as long as it's connected to a body and that person is consenting.
Yeah.
Like blowjobs, you know. I'm like blowjobs.
Like blowjobs. Like blowjobs.
Like blowjobs.
Like blowjobs.
Blowjobs.
Oh no. It happened. It happened
This fucking
again.
silly putty is going on. Thanks, guys, for sticking with us.
Yeah, this is a long one. We've been recording for 3 hours.
Love you.
Okay. Wow.
We respect you. I don't know what's happening.
I'm leaving. I'm gonna go take a nap.
Yeah, we're gonna take a nap.
Okay, love you, bye.
Bye. Love you.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode. We put out new episodes every single Wednesday, and if you're impatient like me, be sure to become a Patreon where you can get your episodes early each week. For as little as $2 a month, you not only significantly support the production of this podcast, but you'll also get extra benefits and perks for being one of our special Patreon weirdlings. Go to patreon.com/threesofcrime for more information. For all of our links related to our socials, affiliate codes, where to listen, and everything else, go to linktree/threesofcrime.